Hello there and welcome to the elevator. The first steps I do is gather all the parts and do a quick inventory. I try to remove all those labels at first, and the method I end up using after doing a lot of research is I use acetone. I saturate the label 2 or 3 times before trying to remove them. That seems to work pretty well. Don't underestimate this task. It does definitely take some time. This is the top of the elevator. First thing you do is put the ribs and attach them to the leading edge of the elevator. I ended up having to turn it around to do that on my workbench. It just made it a lot easier to access the leading edge and put clecos in the ribs. After that's finished, the part's really pretty flimsy still, but you flip it over and that's you're looking at the bottom side of the elevator there. You just install clecos into the ribs, down into the skin, into the ribs. After that's done, you install a center channel. You'll see here coming up, right there's a center channel. You cleco that into place. Then also there's a trim tab channel. It's a kind of a thin, longer piece. And you can see that right there. Both those get clecoed into place right there. Next, you make these little clips here, and they will attach to the center channel along with the corresponding rib on each side with that center channel. This can be a little tricky to drill out. A small angle drill is very useful in this situation. Both sides of the elevator skin are clecoed down at this point. Next, I'll flip it over and prepare to attach the hinge along that leading edge of the elevator, which will join up with the horizontal stabilizer. You need to prop up the elevator in order to get the hinge to align with the horizontal stabilizer. I let my kids help me get perfect alignment before drilling any holes.
Alright guys, game time.
Agreed.
You guys solid?
I think
Yeah.
Tell me
so.
when I'm good.
I think so.
I think.
It's nice to have a pneumatic cleco tool for a long line of rivets like this. The elevator comes back off from the horizontal stabilizer. There's quite a few more parts you still need to put on the middle of the elevator. Most of these just get clecoed on, and there's several parts that need drilled. What you're looking at is the top surface of the elevator. That's the balance horn arm sticking out. Flipping the elevator over, the elevator horn gets attached to the bottom side of the elevator. You can see a little L cutout in the skin. You'll see in a second that that gets an L angle placed attaching the lower elevator horn and the upper elevator horn. Here's the angle I was talking about. This angle slides through that slot, and there's one on the other side of the skin as well. Those two holes attach to that lower horn, and on the other side the upper elevator horn gets attached via that angle as well. After clamped in place, you back drill through the holes that are pre-existing on the upper horn and cleco it in place. As you can see here, there are several other little aluminum angle pieces that get attached to that upper horn as well. This becomes a little tricky when it comes to riveting when we're all done with this, so be very careful. There's a clip that goes in the middle where that angle goes through between both skins. In order to do that, we got to take that middle channel out from inside the elevator and drill a few holes, and then make some holes into that angle onto that clip as well. Another very, very tricky piece to get to, and you really need a small angle drill to get to that. I kind of goofed on mine a little bit and actually had to make another clip right there, and it was easy to make. I got a bending brake and some leftover aluminum, but just be careful when you're drilling those holes. Here I am using that raw stock that Zenith sends you. You got to make 2 clips, and cutting it out with some shears here, and then using my rivet fans to give me my correct spacing on my holes. And these 2 clips just nest up against the upper control horn and the lower control horn. Pretty easy work here. This is the hinge for the elevator trim. Pretty easy work here. You just stick the hinge inside the little space between the skin, and make sure it's centered from left to right, and then you just drill some holes. Pretty easy. Next, you attach the elevator trim. It's a pre-bent skin that you already have, and line that up from left to right. Make sure the spacing's good on the hinge, and just drill your holes. I'd flip the elevator over, and you're looking at the bottom of the trim, elevator trim there, and the square cutout and the little hole in the skin. That's where the elevator trim servo goes in the control horn that attaches to the elevator trim. The threaded rod that comes with the elevator trim, Zenith has you cut it off a certain amount. The Dremel tool made quick work of this. There's a certain amount of throw that the elevator trim needs to have. We end up clicking the servo into the skin, and had my son hook up a 9-volt battery to the wires there. We moved the trim up and down until we got the correct amount of degrees that we needed. Took a little bit of adjusting, but we finally got it. From hole to hole on the clevis pins, it turned out to be 129 millimeters. Worked out really good for us for the right amount of throw. Here we just took everything back apart in order to deburr and to prime everything. I riveted first this center section, easier to get to outside the skins. Like I said before, just be cautious in what order you rivet your parts back together at this stage. Just shows the elevator trim, the hinge piece. I drilled a small hole and then put some safety wire on the end of it just so that hinge pin stays in place and won't slide out by accident. You do that to both sides. The elevator trim tab horn goes on first. Then you can go ahead and rivet the elevator trim tab to the hinge. For now, I'm not going to rivet the trim tab servo on the elevator yet. I'll wait until I get it on the fuselage first. See ya.